After a rather disappointing first preview, I'm a lot more optimistic about this set of 4 episodes, especially given the fact I already know that I'm going to like the first one even before I watched it. Spoiler alert, I have already watched it and yes, I did like it. But the other anime this preview also look interesting for the most part, with one notable exception. And so, I'm going to let you know what I think of them, and of course you let me know what you think of them in the comments as well. And join me, because this is the 2024 Spring Anime Preview, from a different perspective. First up today we have an anime called Spice and Wolf, Merchant Meets a Wise Wolf. And if you've heard of that anime before, it's because you have. Spice and Wolf is not exactly a new anime, the first one having aired 16 years ago now. And if that doesn't make you feel old, I don't know what else does. But this is not a sequel, it is a remake, where our main character, Kraft Lawrence, finds himself back in the town of Paslow, just in time for the annual wheat harvest. And this being an old ancient farming town, they have old ancient traditions, even though the church is clearly trying to get rid of their pagan ways. And the god of the harvest, Hollow, is said to inhabit the final piece of wheat, which is taken from the field. And so the person who gathers and captures Hollow, the final piece of wheat, is locked away to protect him from the god's mischief. What they don't realise is their random pagan traditions are actually true. Of course, our main character, Kraft, doesn't realise that as well. And of course, the town folk and Kraft don't realise there's actually a second part of that story where, yes, Hollow is trapped in a final piece of wheat. However, if there's a larger bale of wheat nearby, then Hollow can jump to that and escape there instead. And that's what exactly happens. As Kraft manages to leave a town, suddenly a beautiful girl wakes up in his travelling merchant cart. And this beautiful flaxen-haired wolf girl suddenly wakes up and howls at the moon. And nevermore has there been a more captivating intro to an anime, except the first one of these had the same intro. You see, this first episode is very much the same plot as the original. Because it's of course a remake, if you've seen the original, you know where this is going. But there are differences. You see, the original Spice and Wolf had some anime exclusive additions to the original plot of the first arc, including an anime original character. Chloe, the anime original character, is absent in this version, which immediately tells me they're going for a more true to the light novel storyline, which, whilst adding Chloe was an interesting twist, she didn't really add anything to a story, and so getting rid of her doesn't lose anything either. Where they go with this, how fast they go through a storyline, I've no idea, but I'm going to speak from experience here. I am a huge fan of not only Spice and Wolf, but the actual writer of Spice and Wolf. I'm going to be recommending this one wholeheartedly. The original voice cast is back, Ami Koshimizu and Jun Fukuyama as the main two characters, Hollow and Lawrence, and they are as perfect as ever. And for fans who like novels, there's a tiny little Easter egg right at the very start, as unlike the original one, this anime is airing after the light novels have kind of finished. I say kind of, as Hasakura is still actually writing them, but is now writing like side stories and sequel spin-offs at the end of a story, so the main plot is finished. It's now just side stories and post content, which are also very good. So for fans of light novels, at least we're getting there right at the very beginning of where we may be heading towards. Like I say, I'm not going to say don't watch this one. This one is definitely one which is worth watching. Especially because this one seems to be a more book accurate series. It'll probably be a much better prospect than the original anime, which was already a very good anime. Honestly, just go watch it. I wouldn't even put it past you to pause this video and come back to this video after you've watched episode 1. You can find it on Crunchyroll. I'll be honest with yourself, I kind of got distracted watching Banished former hero lives as he pleases, so I didn't fully grasp the storyline. But judging from the title, the former hero is reincarnated as a nobody after defeating the Demon King, and is now trying to live as he pleases, free from the world of having to defeat the Demon King and just being his normal self. He has a bevy of beautiful women nearby, And so he's happy to live however he wants, but he's still travelling and fighting and being super powerful, despite no longer being the hero and not really needing to anymore. This one, again, felt like an anime I've seen before, done badly. There's nothing really drawing me to this one. Our main character, Alan, is just powerful. Normal, nice guy. Has no real distinguishing features from any other main character of this type of anime as well. Just reincarnated as a laid-back, super powerful character. Somehow able to be his normal self. And if it sounds like waffling, it's because I really didn't remember the first episode at all. There's no real memorable things about it. I think this is this anime's biggest problem. It's just so much of the same stuff you've already seen before. There's no real memory of it for me. I'm looking at the pictures of each characters and I'm not recognising them despite watching the first episode. Maybe that's why they released 2 episodes in one. Released episode 2 at the same time as episode 1. But as per the rules of this preview guide, I always base it based on the first episode. And this does not do this anime any favours at all because the first episode is bad. I mean, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just bare. There's no real thing to think about here. I can't really recommend watching it if I don't remember it, so I'm not going to recommend watching it. The banished former hero lives as he pleases, but leaves no lasting impressions whatsoever. You can find it on Crunchyroll. Unlike, of course, Train to the End of the World, an anime which left me with a serious question in my head of, what the hell did I just watch? It's very rare I get that sort of feeling from watching an anime. If an anime is presented as weird and wacky, for example like Pop Team Epic, I will immediately think it's weird and wacky. But Train to the End of the World, just looking at it from a distance, doesn't sound like it's going to be wacky. It's a bunch of girls in a post-apocalyptic world on a train. But within the first 5 minutes, a girl has been kidnapped from a station by a drone, taken to a roof of a building, and is forced to press a Start 7G button. Suddenly, 7G does what all the conspiracy theorists think 5G will do, and destroys the world. But a weird, wacky, almost flip-flapper style of destroying the world, where the world goes all psychedelic and weird and colourful, and yet the world is still there. Let's jump over to our main character, however, who is the super energetic Shizuru, who is spending her time researching and trying to find where Yoka, the girl who was kidnapped from a station, has gone. It's been 2 years since the 7G incident, and the world has gone to ruin. Communities are now separated from each other, with only highly defended merchant vehicles travelling between settlements. Phones and communications are no longer a thing. And also for some reason, in the town where Shizuru is from, all the adults are now animals. Talking animals with the same personalities still intact, but the animals all the same. She's joined by the other young female cast. Apparently if you're under a certain age you don't turn into an animal, but remember to turn 21 you do. Why that is, who knows? Whether or not they can reverse it, who knows? But we got our main 4 female characters, Shizuru, Reimi, Akira and Nadeshiko, who are various degrees of crazy, who eventually find out a clue as to where Yoka had gone missing. Apparently there's a newspaper clipping from a few months back where she was seen in the background, and they want to try and find her. Thankfully, they managed to get access to a local train, and suddenly go out journeying on the train together to try and find out where Yoka has gone. And so we start our weird and wacky journey through the unknown as these 4 girls are on a train to the end of the world. Where this anime goes, I've no idea. My instinct tells me this is going to be a journeying anime, kind of like learning about what the world has become, learning about themselves, all the while with weird, wacky, colourful antics going on because the world is now crazy. There's going to be some threats, there's going to be some communication problems between them, the usual kind of thing with this type of anime. But I'm along for a ride. This one has done enough to intrigue me. I'm not going to say I loved the first episode, but any anime which has me going, what the hell did I just watch, in a good way, has my interest. If you want to watch Train to the End of the World, you can find it on Crunchyroll. Finally today, we have Bartender Glass of God, an anime about a bartender and the drinks he serves. First episode presents us with two hotel workers working in the office of a hotel, trying to finally fulfill their boss's dream of having a stylish but quiet bar in the hotel, but need to find the perfect bartender for them. They keep interviewing bartenders, up to 50 at this point, and none of them seem to cut the mustard. They're all lacking in some way. They either can't serve the right drinks, or they're not knowledgeable enough, they're too glitzy or glamoury, they're too fashionable. Nothing seems to appeal to the boss of this hotel, and so none of the prospective bartenders are worth it. Whether or not our main character Ryu will end up in this bar, who knows? Maybe it's just a way of introducing him, but it's also introduced us to two female characters who I'm hoping are in this for the long run as well, because they are quite interesting. We don't actually see much of a bartender Ryu in this episode. We see bits and pieces of him being a weird foreigner who doesn't know how to use mobile phones, and just has no memory whatsoever, until he gets behind a bar and suddenly is the most perfect bartender gentleman possible. He will take one look at you, notice little things about yourself which you probably didn't notice yourself, and be able to serve you up with a perfect drink for any occasion. This is very much a laid-back, calming anime. It's more about the characters and the interactions between them than it is about big plot. But I'll be honest, I just want to see Ryu bartending, and if he becomes a bartender at his hotel and gives us these two characters coming back to it time and time again, I'm happy with that as well. This is actually not the first adaptation of the Bartender manga. There has been another one before it, but again we're looking at anime which is over 15 years old here, so I decided to go with a new one to bring it up to a modern age. And whilst I haven't seen the first Bartender anime, this one has definitely got my interest. I'm not a heavy drinker, he says with a bottle of sake next to him. Honestly, I've not been drinking the bottle dry, I've just been enjoying it slowly. But I do enjoy a nice tipple every so often. Bartender has been intrigued by this one. If you do want to watch Bartender, it's also on Crunchyroll. That was Spice and Wolf, Merchant Meets a Wise Wolf. The Banished former hero lives as he pleases, Train to the End of the World, and Bartender Glass of God. 4 new anime which I've looked at today, and I'll let you know what I think of them in this preview. But let me know what you think of them in the comments as well, and join me next time I look at 4 more new shows. So until then, bye bye.